Hello, I'm Joshua.
And I'm Doug.
And we're both naturalists for Five Rivers Metro Parks. And you might rekindle some of your favorite childhood memories of going out and exploring some natural lands, finding some amphibians around. And this is just an incredible night because it just has been raining all day. And it's in the spring, it's about mid-March. It's just a perfect time to go out and explore your Five Rivers Metro Parks for amphibians. Now, Ohio is rich in amphibian biodiversity, and your metro parks has a lot of them, which is pretty awesome because it's an indicator that your metro parks are just teeming with wildlife, because amphibians are really good indicators of really quality habitat. We are going to go out and explore some of Metro Park's vernal pools and just show you how cool some of these creatures are. Come with us.
Let's go.
So when you put a bright light close to your head and look around, usually you can find some eye shine, just like deer in the headlights. Frogs' eyes will shine right back at you, and then you can find out where they're at. Track them down.
Joshua, it looks like you made a discovery.
Wow, there is tons of eggs right here.
Wow, gotta be careful.
Look at that.
I'm hearing all the spring peepers calling too.
What is that?
It's a big goober.
What kind of eggs, Joshua?
These look like wood frog eggs. They like to lay their eggs in clumps like this in these big mats. And wood frogs are a species kind of in trouble in Ohio. It's great that we have our metro parks here that is saving this population. Check this out. We got a lot of macroinvertebrates in here. Macroinvertebrates is another name for salamander food or amphibian food. Looks like you got a little bit of condensation. I'll wipe that off there.
Yeah, it just kind of looks white. Can you get one on your finger?
Maybe. Can you look down in there? You'll see some fairy shrimp kind of floating around, and you also see a little crawdad, and I believe there's a little mosquito squiggling around on there too.
That's great.
All kinds of things that amphibians will eat up.
Amphibian soup.
Yeah. What you got there,
Joshua, can you see his toes? I'm going to stretch out his legs and kind of hold him just like that. That way he can't jump and he won't get hurt this way.
What is this guy?
He's holding on to me with suction cup toes. And look at the big X on his back.
Yeah, I think this is the guy that was making all of those high peep noises we were listening to.
He's got a really dark throat, Joshua. Can you see that?
Yeah, what do you think that means?
I think he's a spring peeper, and boy, are they little but mighty. Oop,
Yep.
Hey.
And I think that dark throat means he's a boy.
That is true. And then he's singing.
And
But
if we can get a good look at its back, I think we can see maybe an X pattern.
Oh yeah, we could see that real well.
Yeah. And that's how you know you got a spring peeper. They're very common around metro parks.
Now,
So if you're ever driving around and you hear a...
you know,
That's this guy.
so they're calling to see if a girl is interested in coming up close to them. They kind of have a little spot where they're sitting on the bank, and that's their territory, and they are defending that from other boys. And they're hoping a girl comes up, and if she does, well, they'll get together, and then they'll lay some eggs and get them fertilized, and then there'll be more spring peepers next year. And then they swim around, and they have some of that nice amphibian soup, right?
What's kind of funny about these guys too is that sometimes the wimpy males will find a real loud male that's singing that kind of feels like a strong male to it.
And they sneak in on them, don't they? Wait for a girl, and then they try to intercede between the girl and the big male. Joshua, when I've seen these guys open they don't so much open their mouth, but that throat expands I'll try to flip him upside down.
Yeah, it gets pretty big.
It looks like a big old bubble when it comes open. It's amazing how big it gets. You think it would burst, but it doesn't.
Let's put him down and see how far he jumps.
Okay. You got him? Boop, there he goes.
Oh, there he goes. Wow. Do you see how he grabbed a hold of that stick?
Yeah, it's got great suction cups.
Yeah.
Well, we're watching for them.
Take care, little spring peeper.
Yep, bye my buddy.
Doug found this one just a little bit ago. This is an amazing creature right here. And what a find, because I've never seen it in this stage. This is a red spotted newt, and unfortunately you can't see the red spots as well. What makes these guys so cool is they do come from eggs. So these red spotted newts will come to little vernal pools like this and mate, and then they'll come out of the eggs, and then they stay as larvae in the water for about a few months, and then they'll turn into a terrestrial form of the creature. And so what's really cool is about 2 to 3 years after they're in this stage in the woods, they will come back to their birthplace where they came out of the egg and completely mature as adults. And these guys then are aquatic, so they'll still breathe air at that point, but they'll live the rest of their life in this pool. Their tail will get really, really long and develop a fin-like structure, and they'll just start swimming around and eating all of that cool stuff that we were showing you earlier. This guy's on the move. We're going to let this guy continue to figure out where it's going to go, and here in a few more months it'll probably be in the water, changing again into that aquatic adult form.
Bye, little buddy.
Right here at Cox Arboretum, some of our more urban parks have bullfrogs, which are a lot of fun to play with.
There's another one right there. Over there. It just went into the water.
All right. Look at this guy. So this is a bullfrog, and this is a girl, because you can see the ear right behind the eye, right there. That ear, that tympanic membrane, is about the same size as her eye. So that tells us that this is a girl. And these guys are voracious eaters. That's why typically when you have bullfrogs in an area, they're eating just about everything else that's around. So these guys eat other frogs, they eat, of course, other amphibians, but then these guys can also eat mammals and birds. They've been known to hang out at bird feeders and wait at the bottom of a bird feeder, grab a bird, and then drag it down to a pond and then drown the thing and then gobble it up. So these guys are just incredibly voracious eaters. And of course, one of the things that have really kind of helped spread them around is that a lot of people ate them. Look at how big those legs are. People will eat those. Pretty yummy too, actually. It tastes a little bit like chicken. But we're going to let this guy go and hop and just watch at how far these guys can jump. Wow, he's pretty fast. Now, because I just held this frog, I have a little bit of slime on my hands, and that's all right. For me, it's not going to hurt me at all, but every time I work with an amphibian, I want to make sure that I have my hands wet so that I get as least amount of slime on my hands as possible, because that slime is really important. Look at what we got here. This is pretty cool. So this is a frog called a green frog. No kidding. This frog is actually called a green frog, and you can tell a green frog by, they kind of look like bullfrogs, except they have lateral ridges going down their side on their back. So if you can look real close, you can see these ridges right here. You can also see the ridge going around the tympanic membrane, which is right here, going around the ear, but then this ridge extends down in the back, and that's how you know that you have a green frog. And they kind of sound like this. And the bullfrogs, however, if you ever go around the bullfrog pond and you hear those guys, they kind of sound like a Jedi fight. They kind of sound like this. So that's how you're going to be able to tell the difference.
This is a spotted salamander. Look, they get around 8 inches long. Look, he's really kind of a stout little fella. And do you notice anything on him?
He's got a lot of yellow spots.
Oh yeah, that spot pattern is just this one's. Sometimes scientists use that spot pattern, they know them by individual. Like I can recognize you out of a crowd of other people. So they live out here. Now in the winter, they're down kind of in a burrow under the ground. But in spring, these amphibians return to the pool where they hatched. And they'll come across the land and they're walking down there, and the males and the females are in the water. And they do kind of a courtship dance in the spring, and the males will be out there and the females will rub on them and back and forth, and then the males will leave this little sperm packet and the females will pick it up, and then she'll lay these eggs. It might, if it's a big female, it could lay as many as 250 eggs, but sometimes they lay them in groups of 12. Now they're not too big at first, but then they swell up. They look like little balls of jelly. And the larva's inside there, and it'll catch, and it'll come out into the pool, and it'll feed. And after a while, it gets large enough. Sometimes the pool will dry up. And by the time it's drying up, that little larva has lost its gills, and it's become an adult. And then they come on out of the water and back onto land and go underground till the next year. It's what's always fun about being outside. You can find different animals and learn about them, and then you get to know them a little better, and you start to care about the places they care about. For instance, this is their special home out here, and it's their pool, and they have to come back to this pool. Well, sometimes these guys, if for some reason they get moved out of their territory, they will cross over a ridge and go back down to the same water source that they were hatched out of. So it makes these little spring pools very important, doesn't it?
Well, that was a lot of fun. I had a blast.
Yeah, it was a good time out there. Hey, you may want to come on outside as well and find some amphibian pools. Many of our metro parks have these little spring pools that'll dry up later on. They're a neat place to visit. Now, if you do come out, we want to watch your step so that if you're looking around, there might be little amphibians and such on the ground. They're kind of visiting these pools. And we do encourage you to stay on the trails. Now as it gets dark, we close the park. So be mindful of what time we close and make sure you're back in your car so that the park can be finished up for the night. And the last thing, if you can remember to watch our social media, you're going to find out there's more adventures and extra ideas for things that you can do outside and have a great time.
Also, keep an eye on metroparks.org for your next adventure, and just get outside and explore, and even in your own backyard. There's amazing things that are happening all around us every night.
What do you see out there, Joshua?
I saw a woodcock dancing just a little bit ago.
Wow, it's really fun out here in the evening. Come on out.
Thank you for watching. Take care and see you out on the trails.